host of the Gridiron.
Possibly, right? 8 free agents from the 8 giant free agents, right? Impending free agents that the Giants should think about re-signing in this one article here. Now, of course, the one thing is that most of the guys on this list here out of these 8 are cheap, right? So it's not going to take much of a chunk out of the salary or the salary cap that the Giants have. Now, the last one is the man in the picture there, right? He might take if the Giants were to, right, go after Mr. Slayton here, he's gonna want more than just $6 million a year, I'm sure. When the reporters were talking to him after the season, I guess it was on Monday, it didn't sound like I don't know. He was maybe too thrilled about trying to maybe possibly come back here. One of the things was, I know he likes Saquon. He's gone. But of course, DJ was his man. And of course, DJ's gone. So, and one of the reasons why, he also came back and hung around. I mean, making $6 million a year. This year, he didn't do quite as well. And another one of the reasons why quite positive, he may not want to come back is because, all the targets that Malik and Wan'Dale got. I mean, they got 202 catches between the two of them. They had like 300 targets between the two of them. Right? So when you get 300 targets going to 2 guys, that kind of diminishes what you might wind up getting. And Hurt was one of the few times he didn't get at least 700 yards. I don't think he even had 600 yards this year receiving. So obviously, if Wan'Dale, as long as they stay healthy, if Malik and Wan'Dale are on the team here, okay, with Dable, I guess, it just seems like Darius's role might diminish. And one thing he did say, I believe, was he wanted to go someplace where he can contribute. But I mean, a lot of like Aziz. One thing Aziz said too was they were asking him was, the best situation for me. Nobody comes straight out and says, whoever throws the most Benjamins at me, baby, that's where I'm going. Nobody comes out and says that. They'll say, the best situation, or what's the best for my family, or something. But they don't come out and just, whoever's throwing the most Benjamins at me, baby, that's where I'm going, right? But I'm sure Slayton, obviously, $6 million a year. I'm sure he'd like to, get a little bit more than that. And I said his role this season, because basically because Malik and Wan'Dale got so many targets, but also they did stay healthy. His role really diminished quite a bit. But these 8 guys, now they said, I think the first bunch of them are really to re-sign him. One is Casey Kreider. We sign. I think we sign him every year. I think we signed him the last 900 years for a 1-year contract. Sign him, right? After the season's over with, you sign him again, just on the cheap, right? So we got 8 impeding free agents the Giants should re-sign. All right, we got here. For the Giants, the season has come way too soon once again. That means not only is it time to start thinking about adding the roster pieces needed to improve, but also make decisions on some players already in-house. The Giants don't have many of these decisions to make, but there are a few impending free agents they could retain. Here are 8 we would like to see them keep. This is from Yahoo Sports. One thing is, and there was another thing, I can't remember if that was Shane speaking when he was speaking. I think it was him. Is that we have 18 of the 22 starters. I said something along those lines coming back. We're not losing many guys, many starters. I might be losing maybe 2 or so on defense. I said we're a GVR, right, and Slayton. Obviously we need to add a quarterback. Obviously, that's a huge one. But on offense, we got Malik's coming back, Wandale's coming back. Bellinger's coming back. We're going to talk about me and Hurts in this article. Theo Johnson. We got Illuminor. Let's see. GVR is not coming back, but we got Michael Schmitz. We got Runyon. We got Andrew Thomas. So Slayton's, he's an impending free agent. We put Hyatt in there. We're not sure if he's going to be the guy going forward or not. If the guy's able to run routes, but we said we do need a quarterback. But I said we've got the running back, so we're not losing a lot on offense. On defense, Pinnock. So we don't really have a lot of guys. We got a lot of guys under contract for next season, which is nice. The bad thing about it is that we finished 3-14 with a lot of these guys that are on this roster right now, and the roster that finished 3-14 is going to be looking the Giants square in the face next season too. So it's kind of like, we're not losing a lot of guys, which is good, but we're not losing a lot of guys, which is not good because this is the roster that we had with 3-14 with. So, all right, so 8 guys that they're talking about. One is the Hammer, Jamie Gillan, the Hammer. I would love to see the guy come back, absolutely. Gillan's stats aren't eye-popping, but by any stretch. In fact, he had the lowest gross average in the NFL this year, 43.7. But as we know, that number can be deceiving. Gillan punted 56 times over 13 games played, and only 17 were returned. Very impressive. He put 27 punts inside the 20 and inducted 25 fair catches. The Giants were likely to check in on Gillan this offseason. I definitely bring him back. Another one we're talking about is this Casey Cryer. I think we sign him every year to a 1-year contract. Season's over with. We re-sign him. He comes back. So let's see. But he's 34. So we'll have to say. But Casey Cryer might be a concern, being 34. But he's one of the few stabilizing individuals on this roster. At the end of the season, he was the last captain standing. Reliable long snappers are hard to find. Yes, they are. And you can be a long snapper way past 34. So the Giants would do themselves a solid favor by bringing back Kreider for another year. Abso-freaking-lutely. Linebacker Deontay Johnson. Good, backup, right? But would be cheap. Technically, Deontay Johnson is not an unrestricted free agent. He's an exclusive rights free agent. He can really only sign with the Giants. If the Giants were to offer him a contract, he's got to sign it, okay? Which is good. Unless he's not tendered an offer, then he can go wherever he wants. But don't expect that to happen. They like him a lot, and we got a glimpse of what he can do in the team's season finale last Sunday against the Eagles. Yeah, I think the amount of tackles he had, there was a couple different. PFF had him at one number, and I saw another article had him with another number. But right, you were impressed with what he did against the Eagles. They like him a lot, and we get a glimpse of what he can do. We expect the Giants to tender him, and once again, would not be expensive. Quarterback Tommy DeVito. He's the same thing, exclusive rights free agent. Meaning if the Giants give him an offer or tender him a deal, that he has to sign it. He can't shop it around or, let me think about it. I'll get back to you and see what I get out there. No. If the Giants go after him, I think they'd be. Let's not be kidding. Is the guy going to take us to a Super Bowl and this, that, and the other thing? Is he going to win league MVP? No. But this would be the next season was third season on the with his offense and all that stuff. A lot of familiarity. Can he throw the football? Does he understand the offense and all that stuff? Yeah. Oh yeah. Right. Would it be? We need quarterbacks. We don't have any. Right? He would probably be the first one because he's. As I said, if the Giants tender him an offer, he has to take it. I don't know, whatever it is, $1 million, whatever it is, but he can't shop himself around. That his agent, the guy has the hat and stuff like that, and everything like that. Can't shop him, nothing like that. Giants offer him something, he has to come back, and I think they'd be crazy not not to have him. You know, I said the guy's not Patrick Mahomes, but you're not asking him to be Patrick Mahomes. So Tommy DeVito, retaining Tommy DeVito is a no-brainer. He's also an exclusive rights free agent, and with Brian Daboll and the coaching staff returning, it only makes sense to bring back a player who knows the system, which is huge, right? Last year, DeVito, after a short flirtation with fame, spoke about playing elsewhere, but he didn't create the same spark this season to pique the interest of other clubs. What the Giants do here at quarterback with Drew Lock and in the draft will impact their plans with DeVito. So, this one this one's a no-brainer. I mean, if you don't bring this guy back, you're just stone cold crazy. Kick returner Amir Smith-Marset. I mean, got to bring him back. Finding a kick returner these days is one of the most difficult parts of building a respectable special teams unit. The Giants got lucky with Smith-Marset, who played in 15 games and returned both punts and kickoffs, keeping the Giants' young position players out of the line of fire. He opened some eyes with his 100-yard kickoff return touchdown against Indianapolis. He should be brought back. Then he had another one he brought returned for a touchdown. I think it was a punt, but it got brought back as a penalty. So I would definitely bring him back. Then they talk about Chris Manhertz. Manhertz is mainly a blocker, but it doesn't hurt to have a blocking tight end in there, right? But he's a good one. He can also handle the ball if needed. Manhertz was available for all 17 of the Giants games this season, a rare feat for this team. You got that frickin' right. And won't cost them too much to keep. Absolutely not. Once again, it's kind of the same thing like with Manhertz, right? You're bringing back somebody who's familiar with the system. They're not losing a lot of players, right? So he's familiar with the team. He's familiar with the system. He's a big dude, good blocker, and it'd be cheap, right? And then this other one here is because they elevated him. Turbo Miller. They brought him. They didn't elevate him. They signed him to the 53-man roster the final week of the season. Turbo. Dante Miller spent the majority of the season on the practice squad, getting lost in the shuffle behind Motor, Singletary, Tyrone Tracy, and Eric Wright. Little Turbo, as he is known, is still very much on the team's radar, and they will likely add him back to the 90-man preseason roster and get him back into the building. Absolutely. I mean, the speed. You can't coach speed. You just can't, take a drop of water, add water and add speed. You can't do it. What he's got is pretty darn special. So, and once again, he would be on the cheap, right? And then we got the last one we're talking about here. I think it's the last one, right? Yeah. Darius Slayton. Okay. Giants wide receiver room is filled with young studs, and Darius Slayton was on board as the resident veteran. The Giants may not feel the need Slayton any longer now that Malik Neighbors and Wando Robinson have established themselves. The other variable here is Jalen Hyatt, who has been rumbling about his underuse. Slayton will be back if he's reasonably priced. Now we'll have to wait and see. I don't know if he'll be back. He also did say, I think when somebody was talking to him, I think he didn't get used a lot this year. I mean, obviously a lot of the targets went elsewhere, and they're also talking if he's back if he's reasonably priced. Well, one of the reasons why he is back is because he was reasonably priced. But now Daniel Jones is gone. He's not being used as much. Not getting targeted as much, and you might think maybe think about going elsewhere, maybe where the Do-Re May is better, and plus we might get more targets because the Giants got their two top dogs, right? Now you also look at it too, like anything's possible, right? If they were to go out and say the second or third round and draft a wide receiver, right, that might make Darius expendable. So we'll have to wait and see. The thing is, like with him, with Darius Slayton, is that they signed if he signs as a free agent here for the Giants for 2 years or so, whatever, and the Giants do go out in the draft. I mean, because the free agency's first. he signs. Okay, I'm a Giant. Then they go out and draft somebody and say in the second or third round. That might knock him from number 3 to number 4. He might be on the bench now. I just signed with the Giants. They brought me back, and now I'm on the bench. What? So we'll have to wait and see. As I said, a lot of it also might be the money too. Now, the Giants have a certain amount of money to spend, right? And Darius Slayton is not, is not part of this roster. So whatever the salary cap that they have going for next season to spend, if they do bring Darius Slayton back, obviously that's going to take out of that pot that they have for the salary cap. So let's not forget that. So Slayton's a little iffy. I'm not sure if he's going to want to be back. Not sure if the Giants are going to want him back. We'll have to wait and see. But the Giants do have their 2 studs going forward. But it would make this roster even more better if they were to find another wide receiver.